Today, Damon, I don't give a piss about nothing but beating the damn Tide.
Welcome on in, guys, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our fine friends over at Circle K. I am your host, Damon Fairall. He is my guy, Kevin Thomas, and we are the AZ Wildcats podcast, also presented by our friends over at Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order. Again, that's over at brandedbills.com. Both Kevin and I rocking a couple Branded Bills hats. I got, some custom headwear on for PHNX Sports, brand new hats in the locker as well. And Kevin's got one of those campus collection lids on, but we got a big one on the horizon in just a mere 30 minutes here, Kevin. Arizona versus Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, taking on the number 12 Crimson Tide. And it is an interesting matchup for basketball sickos, basketball junkies. It's as the thumbnail indicates, it's a very big contrast in play styles that we're going to be seeing tonight. An Alabama team that is unlike really anything that Arizona has seen so far this season, and super fired up to be watching it along with you guys as well. We're going to be doing a watch along during the game.
I'm fired up, Damon. This game has been a game we've been waiting for what feels like forever, right? Because the way Arizona's schedule has been, they've been on like a football schedule the last 3 weeks. So it's been one game a week. So every game has just felt even more anticipated. And this one is no different. The last time Arizona was in Birmingham, 1997, when they beat Providence and I believe Kansas in Birmingham en route to their first and only national title, Damon. So hopefully Arizona is able to harness some of that Birmingham magic that they did all those years ago and get the job done tonight. Because as you said, it is slightly an uphill battle with all the talent Alabama has, the style in which they play, the location of this game. So I'm excited to see it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I said we weren't going to do this, but we're going to just do it. Go ahead and do it anyways. Let's bring on our guy, Charles Branch of the Crimson Crossover podcast. My friend Charles, I did a preview pod with him. Go ahead and put him in the middle, Kevin. I did a preview pod with him, for in lead up to this game with his podcast. Figured, well, let's bring him on the AZ Wildcats podcast as well. Charles, how are we doing? And how are we gearing up for this premier matchup in Birmingham?
Guys, it's an honor to be here, not only to talk about Alabama basketball, but just to take in the fact I'm on a podcast right now with the number 1 team in the country. So I'm excited about this game. I'm excited about the opportunity for Alabama. And Kevin, I know you're talking about that Arizona Magic. They are playing in the Magic City, and I watched that Arizona team in 1997 as just a casual fan. So it is really cool that they're coming back here as the number 1 team, getting to play a really good Alabama team, which is something we haven't been able to say for a lot of years, although we've said it a lot since Nate Oats got here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Charles, we appreciate you bringing up that 1997 Magic for sure. And, of course, we appreciate your insight that you're going to bring to this podcast because when we did our podcast together with the Crimson Crossover, and check it out if you guys want a little bit of something else, to a little bit more diet of college basketball stuff in your life. And we were talking a lot about the Arizona perspective of things, but here I think, this is an opportunity for our fan base and our listeners to learn a little bit about Alabama. So I guess we'll start off with, what has been your evaluation of this Crimson Tide basketball team so far this season?
I've fallen in love with this basketball team. They play hard. They obviously shoot a lot of threes. They play fast. And you've had a lot of guys that have been banged up throughout the year. We still have not put a full roster together. Hopefully we get to do that tonight. But this is a team that, talk about blue collar at Alabama, what Nate Oats has brought. This is a team that brings it every night. And we had a lot of expectations for last year's team. They started off number 2 in the country, and they still got to an Elite 8, but you felt a little bit left down because of what those expectations were. With this team, you didn't know what was going to happen. You knew some guys were out. And, talking about the gauntlet that y'all have been on, we've been on a gauntlet as well, and we've been able to pull out games against a St. John's and an Illinois. So I'm really impressed with this team, and I'm really excited for what we got in conference play. But, of course, we still got this big one tonight and would love to get in the win column for the U of A of Crimson and White.
You mentioned the health that Alabama has kind of had up and down so far this season. We did get an update on the outlook for tonight, at least. Jeff Goodman tweeting out earlier, Alabama will have Latrell Wrightsell and Keaton Bristow for tonight's game against Arizona, and Aiden Holloway is likely to play. Charles, how big is this news for Alabama, and how does that affect the way the Tide are going to play tonight?
Well, it's huge because you get Jaleel Bethea back as well. But it's only his third game. Latrell Wrightsell is a sixth-year senior. He's a great shooter. And then, of course, Aiden Holloway has been a great shooter from the three-point line as well. So you've got multiple options to try to spread Arizona out and get those three-point shots from the guys you want shooting the ball. But I think the biggest guy that could be available is Keaton Bristow. He did not play against the game in the game against Purdue when Alabama got out-rebounded by 20. And I was talking to Damon on our podcast. We were watching the Connecticut-Arizona game before the Alabama-Illinois game and watched Arizona out-rebound Connecticut by 20. And everybody's like, oh, shoot, we're going to get crushed by Arizona on the boards. Keaton Bristow comes out for his first game, gets multiple rebounds, flying across the floor. So having him available tonight, all of us said, hey, if we had Keaton Bristow, maybe that Purdue game would be different. That's going to get tested tonight against a really, really good Arizona front court.
Yeah, it seems like Purdue is from at least from a rebounding perspective, one of the only teams that really is comparable to what Arizona can do rebounding the basketball, and that's going to be a big key, right? Like how Arizona rebounds tonight, especially with the shot diet of both teams, the way that Arizona wants to work the ball in the paint and get a lot of paint touches, shoot a lot of free throws, and Alabama conversely is a little bit more of a run and gun perimeter shooting team. Rebounding feels like it's going to be a massive key tonight. Is that fair to say, Charles?
I think that's fair to say. And what I'm very intrigued about from Alabama perspective is how you go about trying to get those rebounds. When you just let the front courts go against each other, like we did against Purdue and even Gonzaga with EK and Huff, Alabama really, really struggled. I think both Gonzaga and Purdue got 20 offensive rebounds. When it's been a collective team effort and you can get those guards involved, Alabama's been able to hold their own. And I'm really curious to see, are the Alabama guards going to get more in the paint and get rebounds? Because Arizona has not been a team that shoots a lot of threes. So you're not maybe as concerned as Arizona getting a rebound and kicking it out for three as you would be with other teams. So I think the way Alabama attacks the defensive glass is going to be very interesting. And then part of Alabama's offense, too, is getting offensive rebounds. And they didn't get offensive rebounds against Purdue, and they didn't get offensive rebounds against Gonzaga. So with as many threes as you shoot, you got to get some offensive rebounds and keep getting them up and hopefully get some clean looks at the rim as well.
Getting offensive rebounds cannot be done unless you have a front court that is capable of doing so, right? And can you tell our listeners and some of our viewers a little bit about Alabama's front court? Because Arizona, we know, is bringing one of the best front courts in the nation to the table. What is the Tide going to try to combat that with tonight?
Yeah, so the guy that would play center 5 position is Aiden Sherrill. He's a sophomore, highly talented, most impressive player, in my opinion, from last year's team. Started a little slow this year, but he's really started to come on these past couple games. Felt he held his own against Gonzaga, had either 8 or 9 blocks against Clemson. And he's a guy, too, I know y'all play some drop coverage on the defensive side, that he can spread the floor. He's a guy that can knock down shots from the three-point line. So I'm interested to see how Alabama is going to use him on the offensive side as well. Another big is Taylor Bowen. He's a little bit on the skinnier side. He's still about 6'10", but he's a guy that's been really up and down. He'll have a bad game, get challenged, play really well against the St. John's, but then the next game won't be able to do well on the glass. So it's going to be critical that he's a guy that attacks the backboard as well. And then, as we mentioned, Keaton Bristow. Those are the 3 guys that Alabama's really going to rely on in the front court. Noah Williamson, the transfer from Bucknell, has really struggled. He's done it against good competition, but the confidence just really isn't there right now to really count on him in a game like this.
Makes sense. And I think that front court is going to be very key tonight. But another thing that will be key and probably a little bit more steady, like the variance of what they could do is different, would be in the backcourt, and Labaron Philon in particular, who is Alabama's best player. What kind of performance should we expect as Arizona fans from a Labaron Philon, and how exciting is a Jaden Bradley Labaron Philon matchup in non-conference play looking like?
I mean, not only that it's Jaden Bradley versus Labaron Philon, but it's the former Alabama point guard against the current Alabama point guard. And Labaron Philon was a guy who did not pull his name out of the NBA draft until the 11th hour. And Alabama was really in a difficult position in the point guard spot. And so you come back and you imagine there's some NIL involved there. And is he only focused on getting his draft stock better? He's a guy who plays for the front of the jersey. I know that's some coach speak, but a guy that's as good as that and will play for Alabama, it has been awesome to watch this year. And it's going to be really fun to watch Jaden Bradley and Labaron Philon go against each other. Philon's done a great job of being a little bit more physical and getting to the rim and finishing at the rim. But his three-point shot is also very improved this year. That is the matchup as far as the headlines. That's going to be fun to watch. And then, of course, as we talk about rebounding and 3 points and turnovers, those are the things, getting into the stats that's really going to decide the game, in my opinion, tonight.
Sticking in the backcourt, Braden Burries has been a mercurial guard for Arizona. It's been up and down for him this year. He's had some flashes, though, recently in the last 3 games. I think he's averaging like 17 and 4.5 and 3 assists. Good numbers for a freshman. Now, 2 of those games were not against the highest level of opponent. One of them, though, was Auburn, right? And when I look at Alabama's most, common depth chart over the last 5, Houston Millett is in that 2-guard position. How do you see that battle going between Braden Burries and Alabama's defense on the other end?
Well, first of all, I know you said it was against 2 kind of lower competition in Auburn. I'm going to say it was against 3 lower competition. Houston Millett's a guy that has battled some injuries since he got to Alabama. He's good when he can be used in spurts. And what has been great for Alabama is these freshmen like Amari Allen and Davion Hannah and London Jemison have also really come on. So I thought it was a key when Alabama played St. John's was that they could run a lot of different guards at the St. John's guards. And I think Alabama can do something similar against Bradley, against Burries, that you're going to have multiple guys going at them and try to wear them down. But I think when y'all started off, it's a contrast of styles, getting in the paint or shooting the 3. The one thing about both these teams is they like to play fast. So I'm not necessarily worried about either team getting worn down because I imagine they're conditioned to be able to play a high possession game and score a lot of points tonight.
What do you imagine that the fan reception in Birmingham will be like for Jaden Bradley, who, only played 1 year at Alabama and, didn't leave on bad terms or anything, but, got probably a more opportunity elsewhere out in Arizona, especially at that moment in time. I would assume that he won't be like booed or anything, but do you think he'll get a warm reception from the fans?
I would hope so. I mean, Jaden Bradley's a guy, if he went in the transfer portal last year, I would have open arms welcomed him back to Alabama. He was a great player. Yeah, exactly. He was a great player his 1 year at Alabama and was a part of a team that first time ever being number 1 overall seed as well. So there's a lot of history with what he did. And like you said, didn't leave on bad terms. I think it was just the right time for him to leave with some things that were going on. So I would not be one booing Jaden Bradley. There may be some boo birds out there. And I hope Jaden Bradley has a very successful career, but maybe not tonight.
Fair enough.
Charles, Arizona's got this guy named Koa Pete, and I'm sure you've heard of him. The whole country has heard of him. Everyone looked at that night 1 matchup against Florida and said, Koa Pete, good player. No way he goes out there and really flashes anything against Condon and Haug and all those guys that they have over there in Florida. And then he dropped 30 on them, right? And those were some very tall bigs, not just like Tobe Awaka style, maybe like 6'9", 6'10", but huge. Those were like legit 7-footers and 6'11" guys. Pardon me. Who on Alabama's roster is going to match up with Koa Pete tonight or attempt to match up with Koa Pete tonight?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a Taylor Bowl Bowen or a Keaton Bristow. the challenge for Alabama is you still got Krevis and you got Toby Owake that you got to have somebody to deal with as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Alabama defends him. I don't really think Koa-Pete's a guy you can run two guys at. I think he's too skilled of a player that he can get the ball around to other Arizona guys who can make shots. And what I feel like I've learned with Alabama's defense is if you let Koa-Pete go for 30, in a somewhat of a sense, that's fine. But you can't let Jaden Bradley and Brandon Burries and all those guys go for 20 and 25 as well. If one guy goes off, you can manage it. But two or three, that's where you really get in trouble. But back to your question, I would expect Taylor Bowen, Keaton Bristow, and maybe even some London Jemison, who's a freshman who's really come on at Alabama. He's knocked down a lot of threes recently. Probably still got to improve on the defensive side, but those are probably three guys that Alabama will try to run at him tonight.
Nate Oats, history against Arizona. You go back to the last Arizona, I believe the only Arizona-Alabama game that's been played in Phoenix, which was kind of our version of the neutral site game that we got going on tonight, where it was definitely, a home crowd for the Wildcats in that one. And I'll be honest, I was at that game, not doing this podcast yet. And I thought that was a pretty poorly officiated game, if I'm remembering correctly. Like I thought Arizona definitely got the better end of the officials in that one. But you go back to Nate Oates' previous matchup against Arizona, Buffalo against U of A, 21-point win for Buffalo in the first round of the tournament. I think Nate Oates is like, in his style of play, has been so transformational for Alabama basketball in particular. Can you just speak a little bit to, what his impact on this basketball program has been and I guess just, what his play style is like?
Yeah, he's gotten people excited about basketball in a football rich state. He's done incredible things that you never would have thought Alabama could do in basketball. I'll share this. His second year was the COVID year. So people weren't really able to travel. They were having to do a lot of Zoom meetings with players coming in. I thought that was the best thing for Alabama, not having to get people on campus and just let Nate Oates kind of sell his vision on the program. And it's really just kind of taken off from there. It's the blue collar mentality. It's always, talked about the 3-point shots, but it's also getting to the rim and it's getting to the free throw line and getting those offensive rebounds. And so, he's done a great job marketing the program. He's made it fun, and we're all ready to give him a lifetime contract at Alabama. We are ready to lock him up for as many years as he wants to coach.
I think that's how we feel similarly about our coach here in Tucson and Tommy Lloyd, and, giving him a similar type of deal. But Charles, expect fireworks tonight. That was a great breakdown of what Alabama basketball has going on. Of course, if you want more of that, Crimson Crossover podcast, a part of the Field of 68 network. And of course, you can go check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. But it is prediction time, Charles, if you do that sort of thing. So what is your prediction for how this one will play out tonight?
So I do want to leave one more thing to watch for tonight, because
absolutely,
with the 3-point shooting, you mentioned being at that game in Phoenix 2 years ago. Alabama got 43-point attempts up, but 15 of them came from Grant Nelson and another 5 came from Jaron Stevenson, and they were 3 of 20 from the 3-point line. So I'm really curious to see, even with all these guards, can Alabama find the right shooters to be shooting the 3-point shots? Now, prediction time. I feel really confident that a U of A is going to win tonight, and a U of A that's got red as a primary color. No, I think it's going to be a great game. I think from an Alabama perspective, we want to continue to see growth. We want to see Alabama take care of the rebounding side of things. If you get out-rebounded by 5 or 10, can you make it up with turning Arizona a little bit more? And since I am the Alabama guy on the podcast tonight for y'all, I'll say Alabama wins 97-93 in Birmingham tonight.
I mean, a high-scoring affair and a lot of fireworks in between, I would imagine there. But, Charles, we appreciate your time. You've been so generous, and we are excited to get to watching this one. Thanks, my guy. And if, any future work that we could do together, I'm sure we will figure it out.
Let's do this again in the Final Four this year. It's been an honor to be with y'all. Good luck to Arizona the rest of the season.
Thanks, and good luck to you guys as well. Shout out our guy, Charles Branch of the Crimson Crossover podcast, for being so generous with his time. And of course, just a great breakdown and preview of this game. Kevin, we got to get some shots fired here going on the AZ Wildcats podcast before we get warmed up and ready for this one. So let's do some shots fired presented by our fine friends over at Three Amigos Tequila. Of course, the segment where Kevin and I take a shot of Three Amigos Tequila and fire a shot at someone on the opponent's side along the way. Kevin, do you want to start this one or do you want me to go first?
I mean, you got your shell locked and loaded. So I think you should let it fly. Why not let it fly? Chris Move style.
Let's do it. We got a little bit of Ramona's Reserve, of course. Only the best for this podcast here. Shout out Three Amigos Tequila. Shout out the Ramona's Reserve special edition batch. It's actually fantastic, Kevin. It's so drinkable. And my shot's fired. Let's turn it up a notch. It's at you, Nate Oats. I already mentioned it. The Buffalo, Arizona game, first round. You embarrassed my entire university. I remember being underneath my dorm bed, just like crawling back and forth like I was in a straitjacket because I was so upset about what happened to us in the first round of that NCAA tournament, the way Buffalo like just pantsed us in front of the entire, country, world, Kevin. Unbelievable. And I still haven't lived it down. I know it was an era of coach ago, but Nate Oats, you've scarred me for life, sir. For that reason, screw you, buddy. And this is payback tonight. Shots fired at Nate Oats.
Salud. Cheers to everyone out there with Damon's shots fired of Ramona's Reserve at Nate Oats' head top. I'm going rogue. This is not at Alabama. My shots fired is at Kenny Dillingham. Because, Damon, we could have had it all. Sam Levitt could have been out the door. Kenny Dillingham could have been out the door. And Arizona could be 9-0 with another win, with another road win, a semi-road win against a top 25 team. We could have had it all. Now we're probably just going to have most of it with an Arizona Wildcats victory and all this great stuff we have going on in our realm. But I really wanted that Kenny Dillingham news to break today. But
fair enough.
Credit to him. He's one of one. That loyalty is truly special and admirable. But today, my shots fired is at you for at least not even letting us enjoy it another day. Damn. Just showed up to practice and was like, yep, I'm going to cry today. I love this school. And I don't like that because I wanted to at least get a little more trolling done. Shots fired at you, Kenny Dillingham, for being a loyal MFer, man.
For sure. And I think you could even make that shots fired an extension of something else, Kevin, in the college football coaching search of the world. Nick Saban.
Oh, yeah.
Who screwed Arizona's season last year with the domino effect of him retiring. We hate Nick Saban at Arizona.
But he got his red line, though.
What do you mean?
Like, without that happening, we probably don't have Brennan, which means we don't have red line.
I still screw him. Like, I still wanted to see what that 2024 team would have looked like.
I agree.
Ready to go. And I think there's actually, to be honest with you, Kevin, maybe it looks a little bit different, but like, I think Jed Fish probably leaves after a good 2024 season anyways. We would probably have been, predetermined on that. And Brent Brennan probably would have been the coach that they brought in anyways for 2025. We just would have could have skipped over the 2024 disaster in between. But yeah, I mean, that screw Nick Saban.
Yes.
Nate Oats embarrassed us. Kenny, what an absolute weirdo that guy is. Might be the biggest weirdo in college football. Who possibly would stay at ASU over Michigan given the opportunity? Like, I've never seen anything like this, and it truly is like the most special loyalty, I think, in all of college athletics, which is it's unfortunate that it has to be our rivals, but at the same time, I don't think that Kenny Dillingham's ASU is unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination. So it will, just lead to a great rivalry, but it is unfortunate that like our coach is like, peace, see ya, first opportunity. And their coach was, he is truly the man. What a freak.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even make too much fun of it because like I said on the show, I mean, this was my honest take, and I mean it still now that he's going to stay. If Kenny Dillingham stays at ASU instead of going to Michigan, they got to build the statue like that same weekend, which I guess gives them tomorrow to do that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm serious. Like, that is unbelievable in any era right, to have that level of loyalty. Nonetheless, 2025, 26, but this is not a football podcast, Damon. We got more basketball to talk about, despite me derailing us with my shots fired. Shout out to Three Amigos. Shout out to the Ramones Reserve. What a tequila. What a company. Family founded 1939 here in the Valley. 100% Weber agave, blue Weber agave. It's fire. It's fire is what it is.
Farm to table.
Farm to table. Keys into the door. I don't know. I have keys. I have keys for this game.
You tried.
Key number 1, manage the pace / limit turnovers. As quick as Alabama enjoys playing, as fast as they like to play, and Arizona can play a fast pace too. But if you're going to do that, you cannot give Alabama extra opportunities at transition layups, transition threes, getting more momentum, turning up the crowd. You have to manage the pace in this game, and you have to control it. And I think part of that is limiting turnovers. That's why key 1 is technically 2 keys.
I love it.
Key 2, force Alabama into tough 2-pointers. They're going to shoot some threes. They're definitely going to shoot some threes. But what they're also going to do is try to attack your drop coverage. And when they do that, make sure that they do not take an easy 2 the entire night if you can control it, right? If they're going to make crazy threes, so be it, right? That's just the way it goes sometimes. That's just how it is. But you cannot let them beat you with easy buckets in transition. You cannot let them beat you with backdoor cuts. You cannot let them beat you with Iverson cuts. Like you need to control the paint in this game. And if they shoot like 48% from 3, they shoot 48% from 3. And that's their night. And you wipe your hands and say, I'm going to shake your hand, Nate Oats. Great team you got there. Maybe we'll see you in March, right? But you have to control the outcome of this game in some way. And that is forcing Alabama into frustrating, tough 2-pointers that actually do affect their threes because it affects your confidence and the whole thing. Key number 3, crash the glass. They talked about this on McHale Madness. Alabama has decent rebounding numbers, but when you really look into like the most effective rebounding numbers, Arizona wipes Alabama in rebounding, right? Alabama has decent rebounding per game, but their actual rebounding margin, like the actual rebounds you get on average over your opponent, is not nearly as high as Arizona's. So I expect Arizona's front court to come out here and look mighty dominant on the glass and get that part of the job done at the minimum. Those are my keys to the game. Not exclusive. There are other keys that you might have. Drop them in the chat. But these are the ones I identified today.
Yeah, I think that those are solid, Kevin. I think crashing the glass, winning the rebounding margin is going to be pivotal. I don't see a world where Arizona can lose on the rebounding battle and win this game against Alabama with the way that these teams in the play styles that they have. Limiting or forcing into tough 2s, like that just, as Charles said, like they are a 3-point shooting team. They are also, a lot of points in the key. And then as well as trying to get to the free throw line, like they just go for whatever the most efficient shot is and trying to get them to take some long 2s, some contested 2s, like that could go a long way in towards of, helping Arizona win this basketball game. But yeah, I love those keys. And with that being said, why don't we get into our final score predictions here?
Let's do it. I will go ahead and get mine out of the way. I think Arizona gets the job done. Spoiler alert. I'm picking the undefeated team to stay undefeated. 88-82. I think Alabama has a good offensive showing and makes Arizona's defense look human. I think the pace of this game at times gets really fast. Buckets going back and forth, multiple runs from each team. But I think Arizona's toughness, defensive tenacity, and overall front court skill and size will get the job done for them tonight. Damon, what do you got?
I got Alabama pulling out a close one by 6 points. Same as your margin there, Kevin, just the opposite team winning. And I just think that Arizona has played such a gauntlet when it comes to this non-conference schedule. If they pull off this win tonight, I'm going to be prepared to go on postgame and say that this was like the greatest non-conference run, I believe, in the history of college basketball. It really would be insanely special to, going through that unscathed. I think that, you're almost due for a loss to an extent. This is basically a true road game. We've talked about it on all of our, preview stuff leading up to this matchup. Like, this is essentially more of a road game than maybe even being in Tuscaloosa would be being a road game. Like, you're going to a city that is way bigger than Tuscaloosa with the entire alumni base of that university in it. So it's going to be packed. It's going to be loud. And it's going to be a raucous environment that you're going to have to go against. I think Arizona can win. I don't think that it's like a game that you just have no chance in. But I look at all those factors, and it just leads me to believe that this is going to be the first game Arizona drops this season. Plus, Kevin, I already got out ahead of this take, and I've been working through this one in my head already. If the refs suck tonight, we all know how much they want Michigan to be number one. I'm just going to come out and just be like, Michigan paid the refs so that Arizona would lose so that they would be the number one team in the country.
It's a believable conspiracy right now.
Dude, they are, the AP voters are on the edge of their seat, foaming at the mouth. Can we vote for Michigan number one, Yaxel Lindenberg, to win the Naismith Player of the Year award yet?
They're losing to Maryland right now before the half, 45-43. So.
If they get that W, it won't matter, though, because that's what I'm saying, dude. They're going to get the W, and then the refs are going to screw us, and then it's going to all be because Michigan is paying. Dirty, dirty Michigan. It's disgusting what that program has going on. And you guys couldn't offer a little bit more for Kenny? Really? Really?
Well, Damon, we will probably end up talking more about Kenny Dillingham on our post-game show, but we do have a game to watch with our watch-along in just mere moments. So let's get on out of here. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Head on over to our watch-along on this very same channel. We'll be, just giving you a quick little watch-along for Arizona versus Alabama. Can't wait for it. Number 1 versus number 12. Going to be another big one. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. And, of course, follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all socials, except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Thank you for watching another pregame show edition of this fine podcast. We'll be back for postgame about 10 minutes after the game in the final buzzer sounds there. But in the meantime, we'll be doing a watch along. So, guys, join us over there. Appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Beat the Tide.
We all silly like the mayor.